I would like to wish you welcome to everyone, and let me introduce myself. My name is Marco. I'm a personal trainer and group class instructor in Flex Fitness, and I'm someone who is very curious about muscle physiology, about biomechanics, and functional anatomy. So today we're going to speak about how to choose the best exercise for a specific muscle group. And this is very important part of workout program, and this is going to help you how to create your own workout program and how to be efficient in your workout program. So in your workout actually. The most important for each kind of workout is to be efficient and to reduce the risk of injury. So when we speak about workout we're doing here in the gym, when we speak about resistance workout, also that's the most important part, to increase efficiency as more as possible and to decrease risk of injuries as more as possible. Good choice of exercise and the good choice of equipment can help us in this a lot. So traditionally we have discussion what is the better for muscle building. Is that workout with the free weights or workout on machines? So I'm going to tell you I'm a fan of machines, and especially good machines. And here in Flex Fitness Pashta we have very, very good machines. So I'm going to give you 3 important reasons why machines are better than free weights when we speak about the muscle building. So first one, if you're a beginner and if you want to start with your workout program and you choose free weights and compound movements like squats, like deadlifts, like bench press, that's a very difficult skill to learn. So you're gonna spend a lot of time learning this skill. You're gonna spend months, maybe even years to become good in this skill. Through all this time you're learning this skill, you will not be able to be 100% efficient. Why? Because your technique is not good, and you will not be able to lift the maximal weights. Without maximal weights, without sub-maximal weights, you will not be able to efficiently build your muscles. So I don't want to say that people cannot build the muscles with free weights, with compound movements. A lot of people did that, but as I said in the beginning, we want to increase efficiency. So that's the most important. Using machines, this type of skill you're gonna learn much faster. So you're gonna spend maybe a few weeks until you become very good in performing this kind of exercises. So that's gonna help you to use maximal weights or sub-maximal weights, and this is gonna help you to build your muscles more efficient. So next, what is important when we speak about muscle building, and this is important more for advanced lifters than for beginners, but it's important for both of these groups, is stability. So before I tell you something more about this, we need to understand this. We have our central nervous system, and we have one part of central nervous system we call motor cortex, and this part of your brain is responsible to send impulse in your muscle and contract your muscle. So your central nervous system sending impulse in your muscle to contract your muscle. But also, beside that, our central nervous system taking care about balance, about stability, and about coordination. So if you have in exercise, like we have in exercises like compound movements, like squats, deadlifts, as I mentioned, we have demands to contract the muscle, and we have demands for stability, coordination, and balance. Like for your central nervous system will be same like for you, like a person. If you're doing 2 things in the same time, you will not be 100% efficient in both of them. So you're gonna have your central nervous system will have split focus, and the impulse for your central nervous system in the muscle will not be 100%. So you will not be able to contract your muscle 100%. And we know that mechanical tension we have on the muscle is something the most important for muscle growth. Again, of course, you can build the muscles with the free weights, but more efficient way, especially if you are an advanced lifter, because advanced lifter, they need more stimulation than someone who is beginner. So if we have one beginner and we have one advanced lifter, more chances to build with compound movements gonna have that beginner than advanced lifter. Because advanced lifter, they need more stimulation for muscles, for his muscles or her muscles than someone who is beginner. And third reason why machines are better is something what we call resistance curve. I'm gonna tell you something, gonna probably sound a little strange, but I'm gonna try to explain in details. So in most of exercises we're doing with the free weights, gravity is only force acting on us. And sometimes that resistance curve cannot match strength curve of our muscles. So I'm gonna show you example, and in example you're gonna understand that much easier. So I want to do shoulder fly with a free weight. Okay, when I'm beside my body, my shoulder muscle is elongated. Usually most of muscles are stronger than when they are elongated. And as I start to go up, my muscle becoming shorter and losing strength. So here, I'm the strongest, and in this position, I'm weakest. Because only force of gravity acting on us, that's a vertical force, and we cannot change direction of this force if we work if we work out with the free weights. So in this position, you don't need to know physics for that, but you know that in this position you have zero resistance. So in a position where you're strongest, you have a zero resistance. And as you start to go up, you are weaker and weaker. In this position, your muscle is weakest, but because the distance between weights and my shoulder is biggest here, I'm gonna have the most resistance in this position. So here, where I'm strongest, I have no resistance, and here, where I'm weakest, I have full resistance. So on that way, we cannot use full capacity of our muscles. So of course, again, you can build the muscles on this way, but you cannot be efficient in your workout. So let's say if we're gonna do, this is gonna be like a cable cross machine, just a part of cable cross machine. So if you use cables for a muscle, and you set up cable to have a cable 90 degrees on your arm here, that means this will be instead of gravitational force. Cables, they have very good characteristics to redirect gravitational force. So instead to have a force coming from down up, you're gonna have a force coming 90 degrees on your arm. When force coming 90 degrees on your limb, on your arm or your leg, you know that in that position you have the most of resistance. So here, where I'm the strongest, I have highest resistance, and as I start to go up, you can see that angle between my arm and the cable decreasing, so that means also resistance decreasing. In this position, where I'm the weakest, I have less resistance on my shoulder now. So that means when we're doing with the cables, or we're doing with machines, with some machines, like machines here, they have adjusted resistance curve. They have adjusted that resistance during the motion with strength of your muscle. So when we're doing with the cables, when we're doing with machines, we're gonna match resistance curve of machine with strength curve of the muscle. And that's gonna help us to use a full capacity of muscle. So that's very important part. This is a both for beginners and advanced lifters. Okay, so how are we gonna be efficient in our workout? There are two very important things. First one, we need to use that muscle in muscles primary function. Some muscles, they have more than one function. So we're gonna take, for example, our biceps. All of you know that if you want to do your biceps, you're gonna do this movement here. And we call that movement flexion in the elbow joint. But beside this movement, your biceps doing two more movements. Doing this one, you see my biceps shortening and lengthening, that's a supination. And also, biceps is involved in a shoulder elevation. But you have never seen someone working out biceps just moving arm like this, or you never seen someone doing biceps moving arm up and down. So biceps has a function in these movements, but that function is not enough good to stimulate that muscle to grow. It's easy to understand for biceps because of course you know how to work out biceps, but it's very important to understand this because you can apply this on some other exercises, maybe more complicated to understand. So that's very important, we want to exercise muscle to a primary function of that muscle. Okay, and second, when we speak about muscle building, whatever is your goal is, to look better, to lose weight, to be healthier, to be more functional, you need a muscle building. Only if you are a professional athlete in some sports, you need to think about another types of workout. But also people always say, I want to do functional workout. Muscles are functional. Building muscles gonna help you to be more functional. Difference, of course, in your daily life, if you're gonna be stronger, you're gonna be more functional. If we speak about professional sports, you need more functionality than average person. But if you're working out, probably you're gonna be more functional than 90% of population if you're lifting weights. So that's important. So when we speak about the muscle building, we want to isolate muscle as more as possible. Why? I told you in the beginning that your central nervous system sending impulse in your muscle to contract. So if we have a compound movement, like let's say squat, and we want to hit our quads, so your central nervous system is going to send impulse in a lot of muscles, not only in the quads. It's going to send in your glutes, in your hamstrings, in your back. So when signal from your central nervous system is sent in a different directions, signal in your quads will not be 100%, because your central nervous system cannot be focused on one muscle 100%. Again, with isolation exercises, like for example, leg extension. Later I'm going to tell for each muscle group, specific muscle group. For example, with leg extension, you will be able to isolate your quadriceps, and I'm going to tell you that's especially important for quadriceps when you're doing workout. So you will be able to isolate the muscle, your central nervous system will be focused only on that muscle, and signal in that muscle will be 100%. So if we want to build muscle, some bodybuilders or some people working out, especially old school people who working out long, they're always doing compound movements first, but always finish with the isolation movements. Because intuitively they understand they cannot cover everything with compound movements. And then they need to add isolation movements. Then the question is why you don't do only isolation movements? If you're gonna give advantage to compound movements, to squats, to deadlifts, to why you don't do only that kind of movements? Because you know somewhere that you need to add for some muscle groups more. And usually for quads, for example, when you're doing squats, mostly your quads gonna work the most. But you need also to add leg extension to that. The question is why? Why you don't just start with leg extension and finish your workout with leg extension? So that's important part. Okay, now we're gonna speak about specific muscle groups, and I'm gonna try to tell you which exercise you can choose here in the gym for each muscle group, which actually machine will be the best choice for that specific muscle group. In the beginning of each muscle group, I'm going to tell you something little, very little about the basic anatomy of that muscle, because if we know basic anatomy of that muscle, if we have just idea how muscle fibers goes and stuff like that, we will be able to do that exercise in a much more efficient way. What I realized just people come here, they're doing some exercises, if you ask them which muscle works, they have no idea. If we don't have idea which muscle works, we cannot be that efficient. We cannot have that focus on that what we want to hit. So it's very important. I'm gonna show you. You don't need to remember. I'm gonna tell some words. You don't need to remember everything, but you're gonna just remember direction of movements, direction of muscle fibers. But I'm gonna explain you that later more. So I'm gonna just show you a picture here. So we're gonna start from this one. That's a pectoralis major. That's a chest muscle. This muscle here. So okay, we have something what we call insertion points, and we have something what we call origin points. Insertion points, that's a point where your muscle attach a bone, and usually that's a bone which moves more than another bone, than another attachment of muscle. So this is insertion point of your chest muscle, pectoralis major. That's this bone here. So this bone move a lot, and because of that, that's insertion point. And we have origin point. Origin point is usually on a part of the muscle or on a body which moves less. So when we look pectoralis major, we have three different origin points. We have this one, collarbone, clavicular part, that this part here, that's we know upper chest. And it takes around 20% of whole mass of pectoralis major, of chest muscle. And we have this sternal part, this is a middle part, and this part attach this bone here, that's a sternum or chest bone. And we have a costal part, this is a small part here, connect the upper ribs here. But usually when we want to exercise, and in literature, when we speak about this muscle, we always divide this muscle in two parts. We have that clavicular part, that's upper chest, 20% of whole mass of chest, and we have that sternocostal part, that's that middle part. And we're gonna work out usually with two different movements. Okay, so just I'm gonna show you something, how muscle works. So this is very important to understand for a movement. Okay, I have here one box, and I have one rope attached on the box. This is position 1, and this is a position 2. If I want to pull this box from position 1 to position 2, where I should stand? Here? No? Where? Yes, here. Yes, okay. That's the best way how to pull, the most efficient way how to pull this box towards me. Straight line is the best position. So muscles work on the same way. They pull in a straight line. So I'm going to show you here. I have a better picture. Here we have a biceps. We're going to just use this picture here. This part of the muscle we call muscle belly, and this is a tendon, and this is a tendon. Usually, direction of tendon is a line of pull. So your muscle always gonna pull the most efficient in this direction here. Yes. So always pull in a straight line. So I'm gonna go back on this picture here, and we're gonna see, okay, if we want to hit our upper fibers, our clavicular fibers, our upper chest, where we should have arm? Here? No. We're gonna have arm here. And that's one of the biggest mistakes people making in gym. When they're doing incline bench press, yes, your upper chest is gonna work, of course, but this is a more direction for your front shoulder. So probably when you're doing incline bench press, you feel a lot of shoulders. So when you open an anatomy book and when you read what is the function of clavicular part of pectoralis major of chest muscle, you're gonna read that's flexion in a shoulder joint. That's this movement, same like your front shoulder. So this movement we call horizontal flexion, and that movement works middle part of your chest. So yes, that's very, very important to understand. So direction of fibers show us where movement should be. So then let me show you first. I have one video of myself. I'm doing, I don't want to go so deep in that, but also when you're choosing machine, I'm gonna give you direct tip which exercise will be the best for this. But also if you know a little more about biomechanics, then you know how machine where machine giving the most resistance? Is that in the beginning, in the middle, on the end? You can very easy, but maybe another time. That will be, I think, too much for now. We have very good machine for middle chest here, but not for upper chest that good. But I think soon we're gonna have some new machines, and I checked some machines, and I hope we're gonna have soon that one. But before we get that one, you can work out with the cables. You can see me doing here with the cables. That exercise is for my upper chest. You see, I have my upper arms exactly in direction of my fibers. My fibers attach here and there, so that's a direction how you want to work out your upper chest. You want to go in direction of your fibers because that's the most efficient way to activate that muscle. Of course, if you're doing on an incline bench press, your upper chest is going to work, but you will not be efficient like in this exercise. Okay, something is wrong with the video. I don't know why, but with few videos I cannot play. But you know that Jim Leko machine chest press there? That machine is perfect, old machine, but perfect for middle chest. So again, your fibers are here, attached here, so you want to move your upper arm in direction of your fibers. So when you're making the seat down, you go up and down, you're gonna put a seat to sit like that, to have your upper arm approximately, for most of people, that depends of your height, of thickness of rib cage, but for the most of people, this around 60 degrees will be position of arm the best. But how are you gonna decide where you should be? You're gonna imagine your muscle fibers like this, and you want to cover them with your biceps as more as possible. If I go too high up, I'm gonna miss my fibers. If I go too low down, I'm gonna miss my fibers. So you want to cover fibers with your biceps as more as possible. That will be the best direction for working out your middle chest. You don't need to think about lower chest. This is really small part, and that part is gonna work together when you're doing any kind of flat, let's say bench press or chest press. Okay, so next one, we're gonna speak about latissimus. Okay. Okay, we're gonna. I don't want to go now in the details about attachments, but again, this is latissimus. That's this muscle you have here. You think that's a big muscle, but that's not like you think. The biggest muscle in upper body is deltoid, this muscle here. Second one is triceps, and third one is pectoralis major, and fourth one is this muscle. It's very wide but very thin. So when you count the muscles, you count in cubic centimeters. So this one has the most mass in the upper. So we have this attachment point insertion. We have in the upper arm bone. So again, on same bone here, which moves a lot. And we have different insertion origin points here. So we can see that they attach spine here, and we usually call that thoracic fibers, and they are like almost parallel. And we have fibers attach this aponeurosis and iliac crest here, iliac fibers, and they are a little more down. What this telling us? That telling us that we can hit our latissimus in two different ways, from two different sides. But I'm gonna explain. What is the function of latissimus? Latissimus has a lot of functions, but has two major functions. That's arm extension, that's this movement here, extension in the shoulder, that's when you're doing some kind of row movements, and arm abduction, that's this movement here. So for example, when you're doing lat pull down, that's a movement, second movement your latissimus doing. Latissimus are involved in other movements like external rotation, scapula depression, that's this movement here, also side bending little, but of course, as I told you in the beginning, you don't want to exercise muscle in the third and fourth function. you will never work out your latissimus like that. Or recently I heard from one coach that he said that he working out latissimus through a scapula shoulder blade depression. That will be very bad way to work out your latissimus, because your latissimus doesn't have capacity in that movement. So you will not be able to activate that muscle proper in that movement. So if you're a beginner, probably you need only one. I mean, with two different movements. If you do row movement, your whole muscle gonna work, because your muscles works on a principle all or nothing. You cannot just activate a part of the muscle. You're gonna activate whole muscle, but one part will be activated more than another part. So when you're doing some kind of row movement, these middle fibers will be more activated. And when you're doing some kind of lat pull down or lat pull in, these lower fibers will be activated. If you are a beginner, if you have like up to 2 years experience in the gym, you don't need to do both movements. For you, probably row movement will be completely enough to work out efficiently both parts of your latissimus. But if you are someone who is advanced, you want to separate movements. And always my suggestion, depends on how many workouts in a week you're gonna have, but my suggestion is to do in two different workouts. So in one workout you can do row movement, and in another workout you can do pull down movement. So that's important. So I'm gonna show you a few exercises you can do, actually two exercises you can do for your latissimus. This is for row movement for a middle part. You see. So this is a machine, hammer strength machine. This is a perfect machine. And also I love these pin machines. You don't need to bring weights. You're gonna just change a pin and you can use immediately that machine. So you can see approximately how I'm doing. I'm gonna try to have my upper arm close to my body, and I don't want to go back with my elbows. I want to finish movement here, because this part of the motion will take back shoulder. So I want to be efficient and do on this way. So you can always use this machine for your latissimus. As I told you, if you are not advanced lifter, this movement will be enough to activate whole muscle. And I have another option here. Yes, this option you can do on a cables. This option you can do on a cables. That's actually the same movement. Even that look different, that's actually the same movement. People are confused with the forearm position. But if you look only my upper arm, you're gonna just realize that I'm doing same movement. This is a row movement, and this is also row movement. You see my upper arm works on the same way, just position of forearm is changed. Which option is better? Usually both options are good. This option is always single limb, single arm, single leg exercises are better in a way if you have one muscle group you want to emphasize a little more. You're gonna use single arm or single leg. So if you want to improve more your latissimus than other muscles in your body, you're gonna choose single arm exercise, this option here. But that's also more for advanced lifters than beginners. Beginners don't need to think about that. Okay, so we're gonna continue. We're gonna see which one is next. Okay, we're gonna speak about trapezius. Okay, this muscle here. Okay, trapezius. Trapezius has a lot of insertion and origin points. So we're gonna skip that part because you don't really need to know that, but I'm gonna tell you what is important for trapezius. So trapezius has 3 different directions of fibers. Usually we have that upper fibers, middle fibers, and lower fibers. All of them, they're doing one function, and that function is important for all 3 parts. We call that shoulder blade retraction. That's this movement here. So you're gonna pull your shoulder blades back. That's a movement all three parts of trapezius doing. If we look separate, upper trapezius doing shoulder elevation, this one. Lower middle trapezius has only that function to retracted shoulder blades. So retraction, you have shoulder blades forward and then you want to pull them back. That's retraction of shoulders. So when you're doing that exercise for your trapezius, you want to be focused on your shoulder blades and to move your shoulder blades. Not elbows, not arms. You're gonna be more focused to move your, generally you can do like this only. You have exercise Kelso shrugs. You can lean forward and you can do only this movement for your trapezius. People are a little confused because that's very short movement, but that's a range of motion your shoulder blade can do. We are limited with some muscle groups, with some bones, they cannot move that much. But usually we're doing a raw movement for upper back for trapezius, like moving whole arm, but it's not necessary to move whole arm if you want to do that movement. And lower part of trapezius, doing that when your shoulder blades up, they depress shoulder blades down. What I can see in the gyms, most of people for upper trapezius working out this movement here. That's wrong. Yes, your trapezius is gonna work, but I'm gonna show you another picture here, and you're gonna understand better. This muscle with this black arrow we call levator scapula, and that muscle, you see fibers directions of your trapezius. You see they are almost parallel, and these fibers here we say upper trapezius. No, that belong to middle trapezius, because you see direction of fibers. I told you how fibers work in a straight line. These fibers are not efficient to pull your shoulders up, but this muscle here, levator scapula, you see direction of these fibers, perfect to elevate your shoulders up. So of course, if you're doing shrugs, partly your trapezius upper part, this part gonna work here. This is upper part, very small part. Of course, you're gonna feel this part here, but they're not efficient in this movement. So that's not the primary function of this part. Primary function of this part is to retract the shoulder blades, to pull shoulder blades back. But primary function of this muscle here, levator scapula, is to elevate your scapula up. That's a name, levator scapula, elevating your scapula, your shoulder blades up. So because of that, that's very important to know that shrugs are not the best exercise for upper trapezius. And you should choose, you don't need to think so much about that. You can do any kind of this movement. So I'm gonna show you one video I have on the same machine. I love that machine, it's very simple to use, that machine. Let me see. Yes. This video. Yes. Okay. Yes, that's the same machine like for latissimus, but another handles. For latissimus I had these lower handles, now I have these upper handles. I had this position of my arms when I did my trapezius. Why? Because you see, when I change position of my forearms, this we call this supination, my elbows want to go in. When I have my elbows in, I'm going to activate more my latissimus. But when I want to activate my trapezius, I want my arms away from the body, around 45 degrees, because that's the best position to let your shoulder blades to move. That's the best position. So because of that, I have this grip and I'm going handles up. And my goal, as you see here, I'm pulling my shoulder blades back. If you see trapezius, this is what they call upper trapezius, actually it's a middle trapezius, and it's the best in the function to pull your shoulder blades back.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What about face pull, high face pull? Is that the same target?
Very, very similar exercise. Just in that exercise, probably your back shoulder gonna work more. And for some people, that's little more uncomfortable position for shoulders. We have different structures of shoulders. We don't know that. But if you have some kind of previous injuries in your shoulders, you should avoid movements like a face pull.
Okay.
Because as we have our upper arm up, you have very tight space between this bone here and this bone here.
Yeah.
And you have one tendon. As you're going up, you're decreasing that space. So because of that, I don't want to say overhead presses are a bad exercise, but for some people can be dangerous exercise. For some, that's good exercise, but for some people, especially if you used to have a shoulder injuries, you need to be careful with all movements where you're elevating arms up, especially over 90 degrees.
All right.
Yes, but that's okay. But what is important, as I said in the beginning, stability is very important. You are much more stable on machine than when you're doing face pull, especially standing.
Yes.
Then you need to use your core. Then you need to understand that that's not enough tension in your core to stimulate your core. That's a very little tension. People say, "Oh, I'm doing that." No, you don't do that. That's gonna just accumulate fatigue, and stimulation will be zero for most of people. If you are only beginner, beginners, especially with good genetic is very important role in muscle building. Everything gonna stimulate. So, but I will always recommend some more stable exercise like this one. Yes. So that will be for trapezius. Okay. So let's go further. Let's go on shoulders. Okay, let's go on shoulders. Okay, generally we know that we have like 3 parts of the shoulder. We have anterior shoulder, front shoulder, this deltoid muscle, how we call it. We have a middle shoulder and we have a back shoulder. And we can see divisions here. But actually, I'm going to show you one picture now, and I'm going to go back on this. But actually, our shoulder muscle has 7 divisions. That will be important a little later to understand. This is like a 7 divisions of our shoulder. Because you're gonna understand that with one movement you can activate most of them. Most of people, they don't need more than one movement for shoulders. Depend, but I'm going to explain that. We have 1 division belong to front shoulder, we have 2 divisions belong to middle shoulder, and we have 4 divisions belong to back shoulder. But just remember that shoulder actually has 7 different divisions. Of course, general divisions like a 3, like most of people they know, anterior, posterior, and middle shoulder. So function of front shoulder is this movement here. So that's flexion in a shoulder joint. Of course, they are involved in many presses, but soon I'm going to tell you something more. For middle shoulder, this movement, we call this abduction, yes, and we have for back shoulder, that's extension. Okay, but you can do in all planes, let's say, that movement. And that's actually way how you're gonna work out each part of your shoulder. So for example, with people doing a lot of press movements, especially if you're doing like a bench press with the bar, with the free weight, that's a lot of tension on front shoulder. And gonna be like almost equal your chest and your front shoulder, little more chest than front shoulder, but your front shoulder gonna work in any kind of bench press with the bar. Again, I don't want to go deep in that, but my hobby, let's say, is to counting the forces on exercises. So you use some formulas and you can count exactly if you're doing with 100 kilos, how much gonna finish on your chest, how much you're gonna finish on your triceps, on your shoulder, etc. So when I count that, I can see that activation of front shoulder is very high when you're doing any kind of bench press with a straight bar. Especially with machines, they don't have like that Jim Leko machine. If you're doing, you're gonna see path is in, and that's a movement for your pectoralis, for your chest. But you have machines, they have arms out. That's more shoulder and triceps. So a bench press is also a movement. When you're doing bench press, arms going up, not in. And that's what's gonna brings more tension in a shoulder than when you're doing, for example, that Jim Leko exercise. Also, this machine here, I see a lot of people doing that machine, this pec deck machine. You know, when you sit and you're doing that machine here. You have there, cable goes one round part. We call that cam. That cam can change resistance during a movement. And that resistance there giving more tension in this position where your shoulder is dominant. Your shoulder has better leverage to pull in this position than in that position. So whenever you want to choose exercise, you want to choose for your chest exercise which gives more resistance here, because your chest leverage is better in this position than in that position. Here is shoulder dominant. That machine here has more tension in this part, and that's going to be more shoulder. But that Jim Leko press has more tension here, so that will be chest dominant exercise. So that's very, very important. Yes. So what actually? So front shoulder, it's usually overdeveloped. If you compare front, middle, back shoulder, overdeveloped. Why? Because I don't have my phone, but we hold the phone always like this. We are always with the posture forward, so tension in the front shoulder. We're doing a lot of presses, especially if we're doing bench presses. Our front shoulder will be overdeveloped. And most of people, they don't need any special exercise for front shoulder. Especially when you're making a workout program, you want to reduce as more as possible fatigue in a workout. You don't want to feel tired, because fatigue from today gonna have negative influence on workout tomorrow. So you want to reduce that. If you have, for example, dominant quads taking a lot of energy, you will not do first quads in your workout. You will not push quads hard like if you like a leg shoulder and you want to improve your shoulder. Because for maintaining what you have already, you need really little. And to improve something, you need much more. So that if you're doing, for example, upper body today, and you're doing like so many sets, so many exercises, you're doing like a heavy exercises, and tomorrow you're gonna do your lower body. This workout from today can influence negatively that workout tomorrow. Because fatigue, our central nervous system accumulated today can influence workout you're gonna do tomorrow. Doesn't matter you did today upper body and tomorrow you're gonna do your lower body. We have one central nervous system. Central nervous system command both upper and lower body. So that can have a strong influence on your performances on your lower body next day. That's very important. So you want to decrease amount of work and to try to be efficient in everything what you do. So that low volume workouts, low number of sets in a week, it's much more efficient than people doing. I can see people spending like 2-3 hours in the gym, wasting a lot of time and energy for zero gains. Okay, but that's another topic. So yes, and usually whenever we're doing any kind of row movement for our lats, when we're doing for our trapezius, you're gonna have a lot of work of your back shoulder. Your back shoulder gonna work. You need to be aware of that, but you can have some kind of workout for back shoulder. This exercise on cables is perfect when you're going very high up and you're going down. So you don't want to go back, because this will be more your trapezius. So the most important part of the motion is this one, first half. You can stop here, because you don't want so much movement in your shoulder blades, because that will be another muscle. You don't want to restrict your shoulder blades. It will be very stupid if we just pull shoulder blades here, because your shoulder blade and your upper arm need to work always together. So, but just make the movement shorter. Don't go full way back, so you can go just and stop here. That will be more back shoulder than trapezius. Okay, and middle shoulder. Middle shoulder actually we need to exercise the most. And when we're doing exercise for a middle shoulder, we have two divisions here, and they're gonna work the most. First division on the front shoulder gonna work also, not in that degree, and when you're doing this movement also your back shoulder gonna work. We said that back shoulder has 4 divisions, 3 divisions gonna work, only last one will not work. So when you're doing middle shoulder, especially if you're a beginner, you need only this exercise for whole shoulder. If you're a beginner. If you're an advanced lifter, then you're gonna see, aha, okay, I need more my back shoulder. You're gonna add exercise for back shoulder. Okay, what is important to prevent injuries when you, because a shoulder is the most mobile joint in the body, but also most injured joint in the body, because it's very unstable. So we need to be very careful how we working out our shoulders. As I told, one of things you need to be careful, that doesn't mean that's bad, elevating and presses, but if you have some kind of injury or some kind of discomfort, you need to know that what can cause that. That can be overhead press. But also, we need to work out shoulders, we call that in a scapular plane. I'm going to explain you what that means. So your scapula, shoulder blades, if you look me from the side, they are not straight. They are tilted a little forward. They are tilted depending on person from 30 to 45 degrees. So if you look on me inside, my shoulder blades are tilted like this. So if I have my arms, when I'm doing flies, any kind of flies, with free weights, with a cable, with machine, if I have my arms back, you're gonna restrict the movements in your shoulder blade. If you restrict the movements in your shoulder blade, you are very close to injure your shoulder, because your shoulder blades need to move together with upper arm. Moving your shoulders back, you're going to restrict shoulder blades, and that can be a cause of injury. So you want to do in a scapular plane. If your scapula tilted 30 degrees forward, you're going to have in that plane movement. So you're going to just let your shoulder blades to move. If you pull your shoulders back, you're going to restrict your shoulder blades, and that can be very, very bad for injuries. So whatever you're doing, if you're doing a machine there, we have a machine, pull your elbow a little forward, and then go in a movement. If you're doing with the cables, so don't go there, go there. That will be position. So then your shoulder will be safe when you're doing that movement. Yes, that will be about shoulders. We can make a break now, and after break we're gonna continue. Like short break, 7-8 minutes. Yes, and then we're gonna continue. You understand that. That's the biggest issue always for me, to make simple things. So that's, but I think with examples, with you have like a straight tips which machine you don't need to remember everything. If you're curious more.
But it's good that you have picture, because
Yeah, I brought my TV.
I don't understand what you said.
Yeah, I know.
We will be getting some information about the things that you talked about. We will get to take home.
I don't have unfortunately anything,
Okay.
but if you are here, you can always ask.
Yeah.
Ask me. I'm here every day, so
Yeah.
just ask.
But I'm training to the
Aha, okay. Yeah, sometimes weekends you can come here.
Yeah.
You're gonna find me every day except of Saturday after 2 o'clock.
Okay, so you'll be working here.
Yeah, I'm here from 6 in the morning until 9 in the evening.
Okay.
Almost every day. Yeah, you're right. Maybe I should have something like that. I never thought.
It's a lot of information.
Yeah, I know. But
understand
you
what
know, when you listen something like this, just select information you're gonna remember.
Yeah.
So you don't need to remember everything. But what is the most important information for you from this? This one, that muscle pulls in a and if you're
straight
not
line.
in a straight line. If you're not sure, you just open anatomy, Google, and you see directional fibers.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say directional fibers, that's direction of tendon. usually, because you have this is what I show parallel muscle fibers, but you're gonna find the muscle fibers they call pinnate, like going like this, but they have a tendon in the middle. So that's always they call line of pull. So that's always pulling in straight line.
Yeah.
But in Tirasaw, you have very good chest press machine. That one, because they told us they're gonna have some new machines here. And I went one day there, one weekend, and I checked that machine. Very good.
It's a lot of machines.
Yes, but that one for chest.
And there
Chest
are also machines with the weights.
Yes.
So it's like both. It's with weights and
Yes.
in a machine style.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer.
So you prefer that, or
I prefer pin loading machine because
Yeah, okay.
you know, for example, you're doing leg press. You can push like 400 kilos.
Yeah.
You need to take off and to put on 400 kilos, and that's 800 kilos just to move.
Yeah.
Unnecessary fatigue.
Yeah.
But if that machine has better characteristics than pin loading machine, so of course you're gonna
I
choose that.
don't need to waste my energy for
Yes,
taking it.
you need a lot. My goal is I'm working a lot. My goal in my workout, and I'm mostly working with the average people. What is more challenging for me than work out with professionals, because you need, you know, to optimize everything, to adjust everything. So then you want to reduce fatigue as more as possible. And doing that kind of low volume workouts and doing my workout and doing very frequent workouts, what is more beneficial, especially for natural lifters, it's more beneficial because each workout is a stimulus for muscle growth. And you will not have that increased protein synthesis for a long time. So you want to have as more as possible workouts in a period of time to stimulate muscle building as more as possible. You don't want to accumulate fatigue. So what you're going to do, you're going to make your volume, number of sets per muscle very low and frequency very high. So in my workouts, because I'm working out lower upper, rest, lower upper, rest. I'm doing like 8, 9, 10 sets in a workout, in a whole workout.
Yeah.
But very heavy sets and with very long rest periods in between.
And always to failure, or
Always,
Yeah.
almost always. You know, that's also a question, should you go to failure or not to go to failure? If you're not advanced lifter, you always need to go to failure.
Yeah.
Each set except of course warm-up set. Each set to failure. You don't need to think about that. That's true that they say going to failure, accumulating more fatigue than start one before failure. But 99% of people are gonna reach mental failure before a muscle failure, and that's a thing. So you don't need to think about that. Go to failure each time.
Okay.